When thinking about what makes games fun, what comes to mind? Everyone has a different answer to this, contingent on what games they play, what genres they enjoy, and even their own mechanical skill. If you ask me, there is one skill whose mastery stands out above the rest, and that's... all of the games that I love, whether it be through engine jank, abuse of mechanics, or intentional design, all have this unifying trait. An ability to break the limits of what should be possible, to push yourself further and further as you get ever closer to the peak. Opening the Pandora's box of movement tech gives a degree of freedom that cannot be achieved in any other way. Hi, I'm Zoe, and I really like going fast in video games. This obsession of mine has followed me around for longer than I realized. As a 12-year-old loser, I spent most of the time between games of Team Fortress and Counter-Strike unknowingly practicing my movement on Surf and B-Hop maps. For while I didn't realize it, the time spent here gave me a whole lot more comfort moving around in and outside of those servers. I would watch players better than me fly from one end of the track to the other, and being the starry-eyed child I was, hoped to one day be able to pull off some of those same stunts. This progressed into figuring out how airstrafing worked in settings that weren't just about going fast. Soon, I implemented rocket jumping, sticky jumping, crouch tapping, and escalating to super tough techniques like Demoman's trimping.
Tough for a kid, give me a break!
However, with a scope as wide as it, movement doesn't even need to be complex. Take Ultra Kill. The ways you can move in this game can either be a simple dash jump or something as strange as slime storage, a mechanic where you slide down a wall, slam down on the ground, wall jump almost immediately afterwards, before jumping right as you hit the ground. The beauty that lies here is that none of it is required to complete the game, or even necessary to its enjoyment. You can play it walking from encounter to encounter, or doing this, and still greatly enjoy your experience. Downgrading our speed, we can mosey on over to a game such as Risk of Rain 2. Even in its heavy movement restrictions, you can still chain together abilities to get from chest to chest faster, or my personal favorite, using a move with high forward acceleration to propel yourself into a slope. A seemingly minor bug that wouldn't be noticed, save for messing around, gives you space to breathe in stressful scenarios, something that Risk of Rain especially revels in. How about games you wouldn't expect to have any movement, like a VR title? You may be thinking, VR games often have next to no movement so that you don't, you know. Just look at the precautions a game like Half-Life Alyx takes to ensure comfortable play. However, that doesn't stop some people from pushing the limits regardless.
Let's get scratching.
Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades is a VR title that I fell in love with pretty hard when I first got my index. Being a bit of a gun nerd, the ability to hold, shoot, and customize weapons with an insane level of accuracy was incredible. But how would this simple sandbox game have movement tech? I know what you're thinking, and no, I'm not talking about rocket jumping. That's too easy. Let me introduce you to my favorite item in any game, the grappling hook. You know where this is going. Grapple, rocket, jump, pull. This is so awesome, and also the most nauseating experience I've ever had in my life. Wow, this is hell. It quickly becomes second nature to hook onto something, rocket jump, and then pull myself towards it at the same time to reach huge heights. I love it, even if Something I hear mentioned but not delved into is how movement acts as a form of expression. This is gonna get into some strange esoteric territories, so you've been warned. Now, you may be asking, Zoe, what do you mean when you say movement as expression, you stupid idiot? Well, first of all, stop being so rude. Second of all, what I mean is how each time you decide to jump around like a maniac, you leave a little imprint of yourself on that. You get to look at a situation or area and think, how would I do this? Just look at this room from Ultra Kill. It's the same room for all players, but how you clear it is completely up to you. Sure, you could take the path as intended, but that's for babies. Shoot down a drone, slingshot it towards you, and use its blast to reach the end. Easy as. Eventually, you stop looking at your favorite maps and locales as combat arenas, and more as opportunities to fly into the action. Look at this area in TF2's Badwater Basin. Normally, this is an area terrifying to a soldier who can't reliably fight snipers. But with the use of our handy-dandy pocket rocket,
What the hell just happened?
that's what's so special to me about gaming. It's entirely unique, and gives you things you wouldn't be able to get from movies or books. This sense of control each and every mechanic gives me is paramount to my continued obsession with certain games. I don't think I would have put half the time I did into a lot of them without the opportunity to push myself further. You know, there's something special about all this, and that's what it really means to learn high-level mechanics. Movement techs like wave dashing, rocket jumping, and surfing can be seen as just a fun way to get around the level, but it's so much more than that. It's a tool of player expression, an art form, and something to work towards in pursuit of mastery over a game. Maybe that sounds silly, but in all honesty, I learn movement techs in every game I know because I feel as if I can understand the game on a deeper level if I do. Of course, TF2 doesn't need you to learn rocket jumping to get the most out of it. Sure, Counter-Strike is just as fun without getting crazy airtime, and yes, you could say that trying to make use of text in a VR game is actively detrimental to your health, but all of that still doesn't deter me from feeling fantastic whenever I pull off an especially great move. The Source Engine's quirky physics leading to the culture surrounding surfing was hugely important in my development as a player and honestly as a person. That time I spent on community servers just letting my mind wander as I surfed up and down the slopes, it was just nice. Everything discussed in this video may not be really all that important in the grand scheme of life or even games, but I don't care if they don't. Pushing myself further and further in how efficient I can move lets me feel as if I can impact these otherwise static maps. It's solid proof that the time invested into learning directly pays off. Because of that single fact, I don't think I'll ever be able to stop pushing myself further. And, well, I'm okay with that.